Hello everyone, welcome back to Be the Whole You. My name's Gullveig. On November 8th, we have a lunar eclipse. It's a beaver blood moon lunar eclipse in Taurus. That's a mouthful. So just as that very long title would insinuate, there's a lot going on with this full moon. And I'm actually really excited to see what the tarot has to say because as we're going to talk about here in a second, we have this this squaring off between Scorpio energy and Taurus energy. So when I was taking a look at the chart as to like what all the alignments are doing, the very first thing that came to my mind was as above, so below. You know, as within, so without. So just to give you kind of like a little bit of a rundown as to what's going on with this full moon, the moon is at 16 degrees in Taurus. Uranus is also at 16 degrees in Taurus. That's actually really important. Uranus is the planet of change. And then the North Node is at 13 degrees in Taurus. So that is like kind of like this package where the North Node and the moon and Uranus are all kind of holding hands together, and they're working together to shift our circumstances. So Taurus is very much about home and hearth. It's about practical matters, and it's about beauty and pleasure through our physical environment, through physical life. So things like home, health, wealth, the food that we eat, the habits that we have, how we decorate our home, our family, like all of that would be Taurus kind of energy. And then squaring off with that is the Scorpio energy, and we have the Sun at 16 degrees in Scorpio, we have Venus at 20 degrees in Scorpio, and we have Mercury at 15 degrees in Scorpio. And we also have the South Node at 13 degrees in Scorpio. So I think it's very interesting that Scorpio is a sign that's about death and rebirth. It's about transformation. And then we have Uranus, which is the planet of transformation, that is right on top of Miss Moon. Like they are together, and they are working in tandem together to shift and to change. And the moon is our inner landscape. It's how we feel. It's our subconscious. And then we have the Scorpio energy, which is also very emotional and is also about the subconscious. And the Sun is in Scorpio. And the Sun is about our external identity. So the very first thing that came to my mind when I saw that was the Sun is our external identity. And then we also have Venus, which Taurus is ruled by Venus, and 20 degrees in numerology. 20 is a number that is about relationships, because 2 is about relationships, and 0 is about the seed of change or new beginnings. And if you were to take a look at some of the past videos, you'll see that time and time again, I think it's been for like the last 4 or 6 months, the communication and relationships has been an ongoing theme for basically the last year. And so we have a lot of changes and a lot of shift, but it's not from a place of absolute upheaval, which is a really good thing. This moon is giving us a chance to take a look at, does my external reality align with my internal feelings, to the subconscious landscape? So is my external environment, is it nurturing to me? Is it in alignment with what brings me joy? What brings me fulfillment? Does it nurture me? Does it sustain the kind of future that I am going towards? Or is it at this point in opposition to that? So we were going to have, I think, a lot of clarity over the next 6 months, because the eclipse is it's an energy that isn't just going to last for the next month. It's something that's going to last for the next 6 months. I think over the next 6 months we are going to have a lot of activity around shifting and changing our external world in a very intentional and a very conscious way that will ultimately lead to more fulfillment, more joy, and the other thing that's coming to my mind too is our life's purpose. That I think also is a very Taurus kind of theme, because it's about how, because your life's purpose, I mean, like, it doesn't get much bigger than that, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean it doesn't mean that it's your career. A lot of people's life's purpose may not be related to their job or what they do to attain wealth or what they do for their livelihood. It may be something that is separate from that. Perhaps their job or their career supports their life's mission. And so we might be taking a look at what is our life's mission and how does my external reality, does it support that? Or am I at a place where there's a lot of outdated things that maybe need to shift? I can see in the next 6 months, we might have jobs that are shifting. We might have health routines that are going to change. We might move our home. We might do some renovations to our home or redecorate. I think some folks might make some big changes in their wardrobe, because clothes that not just look good but feel good is a very Taurus kind of energy as well. There's just going to be a lot of shift and changes, but these shift and changes ultimately are going to allow us to live in a much more authentic way. So the other thing too that I thought was really kind of cute is the fact that it's a beaver moon. And the beaver moon gets its name from the fact that the first full moon in November is said that that's when the beavers start to go into hibernation. So they have stocked up all of their food, they've built their little dams, and now they are going to rest and they're going to reap all of the benefits from all of that hard work that they've done. And to me, that is very much a Taurus kind of energy, to create like this comfy, cozy little home, and then to be able to give ourselves enough time and space to actually enjoy what it is that we've worked so hard for. So with all of that being said, I'm really interested to see what the cards might say about getting more specifics on how we might make these transitions, this alignment with our physical world, much more graceful. Because obviously, anytime that we have changes, there is a bit of discomfort typically. People don't usually change because it's fun. We usually change because it's worth it. And so how can we make these changes something that feels more like something that we're looking forward to versus something that is just challenging and hard? I think that a lot of us have had enough of the challenging and hard. But be that as it may, it's yeah, so how can we make this alignment between within and without, above and below? How can we make this this new alignment and the shifts and changes that are necessary to align with more authenticity, more fulfillment? How can we make that transition as graceful as possible? And what do we need to know or do to make these transitions? Because something I have found too in giving readings, a lot of readings over the years, is oftentimes we know what changes need to be made, but the stepping stones on how to get there can be a little bit tricky. So let's take a look. Okay, so I invite you to tap into your divine highest self, and just, it might be helpful to set the general intention that whatever messages are most pertinent to you in your situation and your circumstances is the parts of the message that will really be highlighted. Okay, what do we need to know or do to use this lunar eclipse energy in Taurus to align ourselves more authentically and with more fulfillment. Okay. And before I read the cards, I haven't flipped them over yet, there was one thing I wanted to say is that when I say that to align more authentically, it doesn't mean that you're less authentic. But I had this, and I saw this analogy on some documentary sometime where it was talking about like how we make changes on moving ahead in life. And they gave the analogy that like living life is like driving a car down a really dark country road where there's no street lights. And so you have your high beams on and all you can really see is like, you know, the next 50 to 100 feet in front of you when it's really dark outside. And so you see what's ahead of you and you make adjustments to the car as you can see what's on the road and what direction the road is going. But that doesn't necessarily mean those are the adjustments that need to be made in 100 feet beyond that. So adjusting and realigning to create more authenticity and more fulfillment simply means more authenticity and fulfillment with this next phase of our life. Oh, okay. So right off the bat, Two of Swords comes up, and the Two of Swords is a lady, she's holding the two swords like this. That's a reading that is, or a card that's about being at the crossroads. It's about decisions. There is a decision that we are being called to make. And what I'm feeling is that in my belly, like I feel this very, very strongly in my gut, that these are decisions that we have been mulling over for a while. That we might have been standing at this crossroad for a while. And what has been standing in our way from that is a lack of creativity. And thankfully, this full moon is bringing loads of creativity. So if you've been feeling stuck, you've been feeling like you're in a rut, there is a ton of creativity. So I'm going to just list off some of the things like Jupiter at 29 degrees in Pisces. Pisces is about imagination, intuition. It's about divine inspiration. And Pisces is a very deep, intuitive, and creative. It's one of the most creative signs in the zodiac. And Jupiter is about luck, and it expands anything it touches. And then we have 2 plus 9 equals 11 in numerology, which is a master number. And then if we take a look at those individual numbers, we have relationships, and we have 9, which is completion. So what I'm seeing there is we are creating a new relationship with what we've completed. You're going to be able to take a look in the next month back and almost like, instead of being like, oh, like that was really hard, giving yourself a pat on the back. Like, wow, you know what? Like, that was hard, but I navigated that, and I'm still here, and I'm actually proud of myself. Like, give your past self the honor that they're due. And instead of getting like kind of stuck in any of the traumas or any of the trials and tribulations that may have, you know, been in the past, perhaps reframing it as like, you know, I'm pretty strong, and like I've got a lot of tenacity, I've got a lot of intelligence, and I'm maybe a little bit more creative than I give myself credit for. You know, take a look at like all of the resources internally and externally that you have cultivated thus far just to be where you're at right now, even if you're not comfortable with where you're at right now. Like, chances are there is some sort of credit that you are due, that perhaps you're not giving yourself credit for. And then the next card that comes up is the Prince of Cups reversed. And so this is where I got the part where being stuck at this crossroads has to do with like a lack of creativity, because the Prince of Cups is like, he's the artist and he's the writer, and you know, he's he is creativity, and he's emotions, and he's romance, and he's like, he's kind of like a knight in shining armor kind of thing, but he's also, he's the knight in shining armor who's also the bard. So he's the knight who would be a minstrel at the same time, and then be coming to woo his love with, fine chocolates and sensual perfumes and things of that nature. Like, very Taurus, very, very Taurus. So I want to actually get some more information on the Prince of Cups, please. Is there anything that we might know or do that could help to foster as much creativity as possible during this lunar alignment? Like, how can we take full advantage of this astrological plethora of creativity? So what I'm feeling already, kind of bumbling up, is just fun. Just fun. If it's been a while since you've really gone out and just had some fun, like, go out and have some fun. Okay, so we have the Queen of Wands reversed. So part of what has been draining the creativity is being either stuck in the shadow work, where it becomes more of not processing the shadow and loving those parts of ourselves that seems unlovable, but it becomes more like wallowing. And so we may have not known how to process these shadows, and when that happens and we feel stuck, that will instantly suffocate our creativity. And Nine of Swords, this is about worries and anxiety, probably more about the future than anything else. So there have been some past experiences that we have had that have perhaps created some predispositions, habits or beliefs or perspectives that are actually limiting us from moving forward when it's not necessary. That the past does not define the future. And there is help and assistance out there. So the Hierophant is about teaching, and it's about organizations. There are people out there that can help mentor you through this, whether or not it is a wise and helpful friend who's good at listening and good at reflecting back, or it's a coach or a intuitive guide or a therapist or a counselor or whoever your person is that you can go to get new perspective. Now would be a really good time to do that. And then that leads us to the creativity that is bubbling up to the surface. Reach out for assistance, get some new perspective, be open to exploring, and we will then be able to hear the call. The Judgment card reversed means that this kind of churning through the shadows has put us in a place where we put like our earmuffs on. And because when the Judgment card reversed comes up, it's the universe. It's not that it's not talking to us, it's just that we can't hear. And that's causing us to stand in place. The Judgment card and the Prince of Wands reverse came up together. Now, if we are brave enough to be vulnerable enough to ask for assistance and to foster any kind of creativity, even if it feels nonsensical, even if it doesn't feel quote unquote very good, like whatever it is that we're making, even if it's finger painting, if we can start to shift and move that kind of energy, the Queen of Pentacles is the summary card. The Queen of Pentacles comes in and says, you have the ability to attract whatever you want. And this lunar eclipse is reminding us of our beaver animal medicine, that you can build whatever life that you want. You can build a home, a business, and relationships that help to create comfort and pleasure, So if there are tendencies of workaholism, or just going through the grind over and over and over again, or if there's a tendency to push ourselves into a edge of burnout, the Queen of Pentacles is the card about the law of attraction. The Queen of Pentacles, she attracts, she magnetizes what it is that is due to her. She's not necessarily a hunter. She's not the King of Wands, for example, where it's about action and about, going and get them. She is the one that can receive. And in some ways, you could argue that that is the greatest power that there can be, because you don't really have to pull yourself up from your bootstraps. You don't have to go do anything. You get to just be the change. You get to be whatever it is that you're attracting. So again, we come full circle to the original theme of as within, so without, as above, so below. There's a lot of talk in spiritual circles about how we feel affecting our external reality. And this lunar eclipse is going to give us perspective on also how the external reality influences how we feel. So if your home isn't fostering creativity, if it's disorganized, or you need to move the furniture, or it's decorated in a way that it just doesn't feel right anymore, or if you're somebody who lives in the desert but really your heart and your soul feel so much more alive if you're by the beach, you might end up making that decision to move your home, or to reorganize your home. If the way your body feels is not in alignment with what it is that you need in order to feel energized and creative and inspired, perhaps there are some new health regimens that can be implemented in order to give vitality, so that the external world also fosters and supports internally how you want to feel. So it doesn't have to be a one-way street, is what the cards are saying. It doesn't have to be that I have to feel a certain way to always influence out there. I can also take a look at what's around me, my job, my home, my family, my relationships, my health, and then make adjustments out there that then will help me align my emotions in a much more healthy and fulfilling way. Let's see, is there anything else? I know this is getting to the end. I can feel it winding down. There is a grand trine that is happening, and the grand trine is one that is really about the water element. So feel your feelings and then basically do something about it. Like, that's pretty much what it is. It's like, if everything that has been stewing in the background, everything that you may have been kind of like, oh, do I do this? Do I do that? Do I start do I start this business? Do I start that business? Do I write the book, or do I paint the painting? Do I move to Oregon, or do I move to California? Do I take this job, or do I go back to school? Like, all of those kind of things that perhaps you've been kind of wondering about, there's going to be clarity. And it's not just going to be clarity, but there's going to be action behind it that will actually start to implement the changes. The only thing that is really necessary is that we let go of the past. That's the big thing, is letting go of the past and letting go of what we think we know. If there are some beliefs that, something isn't reasonable or realistic or rational, it might be a good idea to research the validity of those beliefs. Are other people doing what it is that you've thought about doing? Are other people having the kind of relationships that you would like to have? Are other people enjoying the kind of dreams that you have? Because at the end of the day, there isn't a lot that separates us as far as one person being able to manifest what it is that they want and deserve, and another person. What your heart wants you back. And especially if it's in alignment with your life's purpose and mission, then when you make the decision to pull the trigger and just do it, synchronicity will start to occur. And the dominoes will start to fall one after another until, just like the driving, you'll see 50 feet in front of you, another 50 feet in front of you. You may not know how you're going to do beyond that, but rest assured, synchronicity will occur. And the Hierophant is here to say that you don't have to do it on your own. There are mentors, there are teachers, there are guides, there is support out there, as well as organizations and communities. So it's not just about the Hierophant here, it's also about the followers that are at the bottom of the card there, that there are other communities out there, and perhaps friends or other supporting members that hold the key to supporting you and your heart's desire to make movements, to make transformation, to make changes that are necessary that will allow you to live in a way that is as creative and abundant as possible. Okay. Well, I'm super excited. I think that I'm excited to see what happens over this next 6 months, folks. Like, I feel like this lunar eclipse is saying that it doesn't necessarily mean that chaos is going to completely stop, because Uranus has been in Taurus for a while, and it's going to stay there for a long time. So we're going to continue to see globally and within our communities a lot of changes and a lot of upheaval that is probably going to continue to be uncomfortable. However, this lunar eclipse is really a milestone that allows us to be the eye of the storm, that we can start to navigate chaos in a way that is more sustainable for us individually, that's less overwhelming, and be able to live our lives and do you, regardless of what's happening out there, or to be able to even leverage what might have been thought of in the past as things that would have been challenging or things that would have been disrupting to our goals and aspirations. But some of us may even find a way to leverage those things to our benefit. So, yeah. And if you'd like to be kept up to date on both the new moon and the full moon tarot readings, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and that will make sure that you never miss a reading. Many blessings on this beaver, blood moon, full moon lunar eclipse in Taurus. Bye-bye.